Hello guys, welcome back to Defying Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 363 based on novel. So let's start. In less than half a day's time, Luo Feng arrived at Tilted Peak Sector, which had been surrounded by an endless water domain. Hua! Luo Feng dove right into the waters and immediately teleported toward his targeted venue. He advanced towards the Space of Wings. Earlier on, the Space of Wings was where he had obtained the pair of white wings and the origin. If he had taken the usual route to get to the Land of Darkness, he would have had to enter that mountain peak and charge through the vast region within the peak to finally enter the core. However, by taking another passage via the Space of Wings, he could reach the core immediately. The first time I came here, I was very careful. Maneuvering Star Tower, Luo Feng drove through the Space of Wings and entered another passageway. He was already very familiar with the place. Previously, during the time when he was trying to achieve the breakthrough to get his godly body to the third level, Luo Feng had taken this passageway several times to get to the Land of Darkness. Previously, this was where I got the origin. If I can get a hold of another origin, that would be great. But such things are always happening by chance. It's not as though I can simply get one by asking for it. Luo Feng shook his head with a sigh. The origin was very powerful. It was important to note that even for a true god of void space, it was a difficult task to destroy a true god weapon, supreme true treasure, yet with the help of Shi Wu wings, which could release 1 billion beams of blade rays, the origin was able to destroy such a true god weapon. Luo Feng definitely wanted to get his hands on more such trump cards. This was why, as early as the billionth era, while he was in the world of Jin, he had once requested that General Harmonious Snow execute his automaton-type treasure to transform and store his godly power, then attempt to bring this stored power out of the world of Jin. A pity. The moment the power was exposed to the outside world, the transformed power had automatically dispersed and had been annihilated. The intangible, supreme universe law exerts its influence over everything, Luo Feng muttered to himself. Within the world of Jin, all the great beings were not able to get out. If they set foot outside, they are bound for death. Even the transformed godly power cannot be brought out. Only some lifeless objects like weapons, treasures, blood, skin, and hair samples are allowed out of the world of Jin. If only General Harmonious Snow and his warriors could come out, then that great army of sector beasts would have been annihilated ages ago. The sector beasts might have been very powerful, but they were, after all, still in their breeding period. To the various races of Universe Ocean, it was a great crisis. But to the world of Jin, it would have been a breeze. Sending millions of true gods aboard Jin Luo Universe, they could have swept out the entire sector beast nest. Or perhaps if eternal true gods were to be sent out instead, they could have swept out everything, too. Unfortunately, all of them were stuck in the world of Jin. Obviously, all of these were under the influence of the intangible, supreme universe law. When the Jin nation was destroyed, all lives of the world of Jin became trapped within that miniature universe for eternity, forever void of the chance to come out. Luo Feng shook his head and lamented. ************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************œuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœuxœux at times flying at high speed, paying no heed to safety or dangers. Of course, there were scary regions that one would not be able to leave the moment they fell within, such as 3 Extreme Abyss and Icy Wind Devil Cave. These were places that even Luo Feng had to take a detour around. These were places known to be the lands of nightmares. Maybe he had the ability to escape upon falling in, but he was not ready to take the gamble. If he was really stuck in there, it would be a dumbfounding turn of events. Amidst the red-hot lava, Star Tower continued to advance. Flying out of the layer of lava, far into the distance, it was approaching the endless whirlwind whirlpool. Every whirlwind was like a blade of light from a super great being, with an incredibly powerful tearing force. Star Tower was, undoubtedly, able to charge in easily. Even though it was not affected by the influence of the whirlwind and was able to stay on course, Luo Feng took an extra step in borrowing the strength of these whirlwinds to propel Star Tower ahead at an even faster pace. It is the 10,000 waves water region ahead, Luo Feng said to himself. After I get to the 10,000 waves water region, I will be near the land of darkness. Zhenjiao Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God are both at the 10,000 Waves water region. Luo Feng had been here multiple times. Secretly, he had chanced upon the discovery that both Zhenjiao Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God were at this place. However, to avoid attracting unnecessary attention from the sector beasts, Luo Feng had not made any moves. Compared to the sector beast crisis, both Zhenjiao Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God were merely ants that were not worth a dime of attention. When I am in a true confrontation with the sector beasts, and there is time to spare, I will just end it with you two along the way. Hong. Long. Star Tower flew right into the 10,000 Waves water region without pause, then started to close on the land of darkness. The faraway boundary of this vast water region was shrouded in total blackness. It was a kind of darkness that would bring shudders to the human soul. When the sector beast was yet to be born, if one were to fall into the deep abyss of this land of darkness, they would be lost for eternity. Escape was almost impossible. Generally, many would just roam about the borders, or if some universe masters had other bodies, they might dare to step into the abyss because even if that body were to die, it would only mean losing one of their multiple bodies. Morosa. Star Tower came to a halt at the border of the land of darkness. Luo Feng looked far off into the distance, where the sight of endless darkness greeted him. Within Luo Feng's miniature universe. Morosa, hand me the star map of the sector beast's nest, the godly-powered avatar said. And also, the positions of every single one of those millions of sector beasts, indicate them on the map. Morosa replied with great deference, yes, Master. But Master, I may be able to remotely detect the position of every sector beast, but the distance between them is far too great, so the coordinates I give can only indicate an approximate region. It is already scaled down to a smaller area. The degree of precision won't be very on point. That will do. The godly-powered avatar nodded. As Morosa carefully tried to detect the location of the other sector beasts, traces of sector beast power also started to dissipate from the surface of his body to be suspended in midair. These traces of sector beast power condensed to form a huge sphere with a diameter of around 1 million kilometers. The entire sector beast nest has become a sphere, Morosa explained. It has the ability to affect all the senses. If any of you true gods from the universe ocean fall deep into it, you all be lost within it. Thereafter, that sphere, with a diameter of 1 million kilometers, started to show specks of light, and around every speck was a halo. There were countless such spots. Every spot of light here represents one sector beast, said Morosa. The area that the halo spreads out over is the region where the sector beast might possibly be found. This is the best I can provide, an approximate region for every sector beast's location. Shortly after, on the gigantic sector beast nest model, some mountain ranges and rivers started to emerge. There are other material objects to be found in the land of darkness. I may be your servant, but I am unable to detect your whereabouts, my master. The godly-powered avatar nodded. It was difficult to detect one's whereabouts within Universe Ocean, which was why there were often incidences of individuals getting lost within Universe Ocean. Even though Morosa was Luo Feng's servant, it was unable to detect the exact location of Luo Feng's whereabouts. On the contrary, it would be able to detect the locations of all the other sector beasts. This was a talent that these sector beasts were born with. Master, you may want to rely on the mountain ranges, rivers, and gigantic mountain rocks to determine the coordinates of your own whereabouts, Morosa suggested. Of course, you can also rely on the location of the sector beasts to help determine your own whereabouts. The only problem with this method is that the beasts will discover you easily. Presently, the number of sector beasts, excluding myself, reaches a total of more than 9.2 million. Very well, said the godly-powered avatar. Please mark out and indicate for me the location of 10,000 Waves water region. There is no way I can mark that out, Morosa said. After the land of darkness takes a spherical form, internally, it is revolving very slowly and continuously every moment. Relative to the revolution on the inside, some mountain ranges do not change locations. But to the outside world, the land of darkness is ever changing. Thus, it is easy to lose one's way within the land of darkness. In that case, the godly-powered avatar replied immediately, giving its orders, you must continue to sense them carefully. When those sector beasts change location, you have to change the model accordingly to ensure that you are in tune with the changes all the time. Yes, Master. Morosa showed absolute obedience. Go in. Star Tower was at the border of 10,000 waves water region before it finally flew straight into the endless darkness. Star Tower was shrinking. Luo Feng carefully controlled Star Tower. Although it was said to be darkness, to a strong being like Luo Feng, dark was no different from light. Through his influence over time and space, he could still see clearly what was far in the distance. Dead silence. As though there is nothing at all. Luo Feng held his breath. He did not dare to be the least bit careless. At that very moment, he was very unclear about where he was. He needed to rely on the reference points within the land of darkness to understand what was around him and what was happening, but the period before he found those reference points was the most dangerous time. I hope that by being invisible and formless, will not be discovered by the sector beasts. The moment I am discovered, my first plan will have failed. After all, there were more than 9.2 million sector beasts now. It was too densely populated in the nest. It would be just like how huge Axe had been annihilated shortly after falling into the land of darkness, or how Hong and I Devil God were discovered shortly after they entered. It was almost a given fact that Luo Feng was bound to be discovered, too, so he could only pin his hopes on the power of being invisible and formless and seeing if the sector beasts would overlook any loopholes. Hide. Star Tower vanished, and Luo Feng appeared within the void space. Soon after, his body transformed. Change. A floating stone was charging toward the land of darkness, sometimes teleporting, sometimes just floating. This stone was void of life, just like an ordinary mountain rock. As it was advancing, it was also sensing the space ripples. Luo Feng knew that his teleportation distance could be much further than the sector beasts, and naturally, he could detect things over a longer distance. If he did not detect anything amiss, he would continue to teleport again and again. Luo Feng felt a sudden shock and immediately stopped. A short moment later, Hua, a hideous-looking sector beast teleported over. Relying on its ability to detect things in space, it had discovered the presence of the rock right away. Hey! The two singular, bloodshot eyes stared at the rock. Why is there a rock here, suddenly out of nowhere? Could it be a piece that flew over from the mountains that collapsed and shattered when the other fellows were fighting one another? Humph! This hideous-looking beast stomped on the rock without warning. With a loud sound, the rock shattered into many pieces. The sector beast displayed indifference and left. Luo Feng started to detect around him again. After waiting a long while after the sector beast left, he said, "Condense." The rock condensed again, but this time, upon transformation, it took on a different look. Once again, he teleported to advance. This was how Luo Feng carefully relied on his invisible and formless power to avoid being discovered by the sector beasts. He had encountered 3 sector beasts in total, and based on their locations, he determined his own approximate coordinates. Then, finally, he arrived at a certain spot on that floating mountain range. This mountain range was 1 trillion kilometers tall. Rolling on, it floated amid the air in the land of darkness. Who? A piece of rock fell from the mountain range and instantly took on human form. Luo Feng heaved a sigh of relief. My location is now confirmed. Determining his coordinates was only the first step. Depending on my ability to stay invisible and formless, the sector beasts cannot recognize me, Luo Feng said to himself silently. However, the moment I start fighting the sector beasts, the moment one sector beast discovers me, it will be the same as being discovered by all the sector beasts. By then, I will be forced to execute another plan. It's fate's call. I can only sneak attack one sector beast. In that case, I can destroy the leader, and his gang will be the next to fall. Since I can only sneak attack one of them, I shall choose Betty. A look of aggressiveness flashed in Luo Feng's eyes. Earlier, Morosa had specially marked out the whereabouts of the 100 most powerful sector beasts in the nest, and the most powerful one of them all was none other than Betty. Luo Feng followed his first plan and proceeded toward Beddy's location. Betty. In Land of Darkness, a sector beast was fleeing in a hurry. As it fled, it roared furiously, "You're already at pinnacle level 4, and there are several sector beasts in our hive who are already at level 4. Why don't you go fight Chi-Ya and Mohi? One of them is stronger than 100 of us. If you waste your time chasing us, Mohi and the others will only become stronger, and if they reach level 5 before you, they'll definitely eat you." Another sector beast was chasing it at high speed, and both the singular eyes on its heads were gleaming belligerently. It said, "You're not qualified to tell me what to do, Ka Cheong." Su. Sector beast Betty kept speeding up, moving much faster than the one in front of it. Betty knew that after it had decided to hunt sector beasts, it had lost control over the hive. Some of the other top-tier sector beasts were beyond its control. If Betty still acted as it had before and only targeted the powerful sector beasts, they wouldn't even have a chance to improve themselves. The previous strategy had been simple and would have taken him a long time. The threat from Milky Way Horde leader Luofeng had forced Betty to speed things up. It had to keep swallowing other sector beasts to become stronger. "I'm stronger than Mohi and the others. I keep swallowing and keep evolving. I was the strongest before, and I'll be the strongest forever." Both the singular eyes of Betty were glinting with madness as it almost managed to slash the sector beast in front of it. Peng! The fleeing sector beast separated its body into 99 parts, and they all fled in different directions. This was a fight between two sector beasts, so its survival skill, Sector Light Passageway, would be interrupted by Betty. It couldn't be formed, which was why it didn't bother to perform that technique. Even if it was actually able to perform it, it would have been much weaker and would have died even more tragically in the hive. Wang. Traces of dimming, colorful light burst out of Betty's body. The colorful light enveloped space and time. It was the Sector Light Passageway of a level 4 sector beast. A mighty binding power trapped all 99 bodies as if they were ensnared in a swamp. Their bodies immediately slowed down. Peng! Betty divided his body into 99 parts as well, charging at the 99 bodies of his enemies. All 99 bodies bit through their enemies. Betty! All the bodies of the fleeing sector beast disappeared, and they converged to form the original body. Die, Ka Cheong! The 99 bodies of Betty also vanished and condensed into its original body. They were fighting each other, gnashing and rolling everywhere in the land of darkness, battling like mad. Their flesh split open, and dark blood burst out. Betty was at pinnacle level 4 while Ka Cheong was only at level 3. Betty also had Sector Light Passageway to help him, so Betty was crushing Ka Cheong. Kai! A bloody light surrounded the claw, which pierced through Ka Cheong's chest instantly. A giant hole appeared on Ka Cheong's chest as it lost its sector. Its body trembled, and it lost all ability to resist. "You'll die, Betty. You will." Ka Cheong glared at Betty with both its singular eyes. "You're fighting us instead of Mohi and other powerful ones. You'll die. You will die of your stupidity. Ka. Cha. Betty opened the mouths on both its heads, and they chomped down on the heads of Ka Cheong. It chewed the heads and swallowed them into its stomach. Then it went on to chew up the other parts of the body. Soon, he finished eating an entire sector beast. Another one. Betty looked up with his eyes gleaming. Almost. Almost there. Su. Betty teleported and disappeared. After around half a month, sector beast Betty was chasing another sector beast again. Betty clotted the space around it, so nobody could teleport to leave. One was pursuing while the other was fleeing. "If I eat it, I'll reach level 5 very soon." Betty was eager as it chased another sector beast. In the silent land of darkness, Luofeng stood above a tumbling river passing through space. Why did the location change again? This sector beast Betty keeps changing its location. It moves so fast, yet I have to be careful not to be found by other sector beasts. Luofeng was deeply upset. Far away, in Luofeng's miniature universe, Morosa said to the godly-powered avatar, "Master, I've spread the message. Besides, now that the sector beasts have learned I am with you, they're trying to speed up their evolution. Normally, they are very relaxed and only hunt once in a while, but now, they are acting madly and constantly moving around. So is Betty. Betty must be chasing its prey now. Other sector beasts can sense it, so they can flee as quickly as possible to render its efforts ineffective. However, there are far too many sector beasts in the hive. If Betty dashes in a single direction, there could be hundreds of thousands of sector beasts there, all of whom are fleeing and even fighting each other, which gives Betty a great chance. Besides, Betty can teleport the farthest, so he can still succeed sometimes. The godly powered avatar nodded. Mark his location carefully. Yes, master, answered Morosa respectfully. Luo Feng knew that Betty was hunting and moving at the same time. However, he didn't dare to wait until Betty stopped. If it did, it might enter level 5 very soon. I have to catch up with it. Luo Feng became a floating rock, teleporting as he approached Betty. Luo Feng was able to teleport farther than Betty. However, Betty was reckless and went wherever it wanted, yet Luo Feng had to evade many sector beasts. When Luo Feng was approaching the sector beasts, they could sense the teleportation ripples, and if they couldn't see any sector beast after sensing the teleportation ripples, they naturally grew suspicious and rushed toward him. For that reason, Luo Feng had to take many detours. Perhaps Betty will rush in my direction. Then I can go ahead and capture it. Luo Feng looked forward to it, while that giant rock kept teleporting again and again in the land of darkness. Time passed. Morosa maintained the standard of the land of darkness, tracking all the light spots that represented sector beasts. Just by watching those spots, it could tell when Betty touched one, as the other spot would quickly dissipate. Apparently, Betty was hunting and eating. 3 months after Luo Feng entered the land of darkness, sector beast Betty sat at the top of a strange mountain floating in space. It was holding back its power. However, the energies that leaked all gathered toward Betty, forming an endless black mist. The land of darkness was a hive for the sector beasts, a cradle for them, so it also had some special energies. The black mist surrounded sector beast Betty. Who? Absorb. Black mist sometimes permeated and sometimes shrank. It was like a giant heart pumping relentlessly. On the other side of the land of darkness, Luo Feng found that Betty had stopped moving. He was thrilled and started to rush in that direction. It stopped. Even though it's really far away from me and I need to detour around many areas, it'll take me only half a day to get there. The rock was teleporting and moving forward. The black mist heart kept pumping. Eventually, absorb. The black mist shrank abruptly. It all went into Betty's nose, flooding inward. A bloody light surrounded its body. Gradually, the light became increasingly dense. Time and space trembled, and a terrifying and destructive ripple appeared, surrounding Betty. The bloody light on its body became denser, and its body shape was growing larger and larger. When it came to body size, the more advanced a sector beast was, the larger its body would be. It had been an hour, and the bloody light was gradually reined in. It was attached to its dark skin. Eccentric engravings formed on sector beast Betty's skin, and after a short while, everything disappeared. There were bloody, thread-like engravings all over its body, emanating power that could make one's soul tremble. Who? Sector beast Betty exhaled and opened both of his singular eyes. Both its heads smiled, as it felt relaxed and comfortable. Finally, I've entered level 5. Sector beast Betty was relieved. After getting the message from Morosa, it had known that Morosa was suppressed and eventually enslaved. Since then, it had enacted a new strategy, never relaxing even for a moment. It knew that it was taking a major risk, and if other sector beasts entered level 5 before it would be in big trouble. However, it had to take a chance, as Luo Feng was too great a threat. It had never let up for even a second over the past eras. I've finally entered level 5. Nobody in the hive of sector beasts will be my match now, and if Mo-He and the others meet me, they'll be doomed. Both of the singular eyes of sector beast Betty gleamed crazily. Mo-He, Chi-Ya, and some others had also entered level 4. Betty had been as at an advantage before, but the best it had been able to do was suppress them. It was difficult for it to kill them, just as it had been difficult for Betty to kill Morosa when they both had been at level 3. However, things were different now. Betty had reached level 5. This gave it an absolute edge over the other level 4 sector beasts. Besides, there were only a few of them at level 4. Mo-He, Sector Beast Betty teleported and started to act. My teleportation distance is still the same as when I was at level 4, so Mohi and the others have no idea I've entered level 5. It only now started to move again. A rock was floating in the space near Betty. Too late. I can catch you in 5 minutes. Shua. The rock approached Betty as quickly as possible. As he approached, Luo Feng transformed from the rock back into a human from in silver armor. There were 5 shining wings on his back. Luo Feng's eyes looked indifferent at this moment, as nobody could sway his determination to kill Betty. Sector Beast Betty was the strongest Sector Beast. If Luo Feng killed Betty, it would take much longer for a level 6 Sector Beast to be born, which would give the races in Universe Ocean a grace period. I have to kill Betty. Luo Feng only had one goal in his mind, to kill Betty. Shua. 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 After teleporting over 100 times, he finally felt a faint teleportation ripple. It's right there. Luo Feng teleported and rushed toward the ripple. He then condensed the space so that nobody could teleport and run away. Betty had just entered level 5 and was daring and energetic. He was just about to deal with Sector Beasts at level 4. He even tried to limit himself to teleporting only as far he had been able to teleport while at level 4. Suddenly, Betty felt an approaching ripple. Then the space around it condensed. The source of that ripple couldn't even sense the presence of Sector Beasts, which meant it wasn't a Sector Beast that was coming toward him. Apparently, it was a creature from the races of Universe Ocean. A great being from Universe Ocean had been able to penetrate the core area of Land of Darkness without being noticed. And it was rushing directly at Betty. Could it be a coincidence? There were almost 10 million Sector Beasts in the Land of Darkness, and they were able to camouflage themselves. If they didn't want other Sector Beasts to find them, it was almost impossible for them to run into Betty. It must be Milky Way Horde leader, Luo Feng, said Sector Beast Betty. Only him. He enslaved Morosa, and that's how he knows where all the Sector Beasts are in Land of Darkness. Betty suddenly had many thoughts racing through his mind. Who is it? Sector Beast Betty knew he wouldn't be able to teleport now. He was enraged. He wasn't in a rush but looked toward the ripples with both his heads. In the distance, a silver-armored human being stood in space. 5 pairs of silver wings were open on his back, and he was staring at Sector Beast Betty with the eyes of a wolf staring at a sheep. Are you the #1 great being from Universe Ocean, Milky Way Horde leader Luo Feng? Sector Beast Betty asked indifferently. Betty was absolutely confident now that it had entered level 5. He had felt part of the destruction of the origin. His power had surged, and he was just pretending to be at level 4 by teleporting shorter distances. Level 5 was almost the pinnacle power in the evolution system of Sector Beasts. Compared to level 6 Sector Beasts, level 5 didn't have 10,000 bodies and couldn't pull off a long fight. But other than that, they didn't have many disadvantages. Luo Feng opened his mouth. Betty, you know me. Both the singular eyes of Sector Beast Betty glinted with a dim light. It seems that Morosa told you about me, and you managed to sneak into the Land of Darkness without being noticed by any other Sector Beasts. You're indeed impressive. Even I didn't notice you. Now, you show yourself. It seems you came here to target me. That's right. Luo Feng nodded. The conversation sounded tepid. However, Luo Feng was constantly observing Sector Beast Betty. Wasn't Betty scared at all? Its calmness sharpened Luo Feng's vigilance. Morosa had already given every Sector Beast a message before it was enslaved, and apparently, level 4 Sector Beasts weren't Luo Feng's match. Facing an enemy that it couldn't rival, it should have either panicked or attacked. However, Betty was oddly calm. I had meant to kill you in the future, but now that you're here, I will. Sector Beast Betty's eyes gleamed madly. It's me who's going to kill you. Luo Feng yelled. Hong. The 5 pairs of wings on Luo Feng's back suddenly bulged, and at the same time, godly power that was utilized in its entirety was infused into his Shawu wings. He kept performing the first 3 volumes of Duan Mie. Even in the world of Jin, burning 3 levels at the true god level was the limit. Luo Feng immediately triggered the 3rd level of engravings of his Shawu wings with his godly power. All of a sudden, an area of several square light-years was covered by vast clouds. It was single-thought void space. A strong binding power immediately assaulted Betty. It only made Betty laugh. Haha. Did you use this move to reduce Morosa to using sector light passageway? It's enough to deal with level 3 sector beasts. However, it's nothing but a joke to me. Wang. Blurry light permeated and relentlessly eroded the area of the single-thought void space. The light was stronger, it kept growing, forcing the single-thought void space to retreat. Luo Feng was stunned. How can the sector light domain be so powerful? The sector light domain of a level 4 sector beast should be at the same level as my single-thought void space. Has sector beast Betty really reached level 5? Although it was the same move, sector light domain was different when it was performed by level 5 sector beasts as opposed to level 4 sector beasts. The power of the technique depended on the sector within the sector beast, and apparently, level 5 sector beasts were superior. No wonder. It's Betty. It's entered level 5. Luo Feng's voice sounded cold, but it was spread several light-years away. Haha. No wonder you're the first great being in Universe Ocean. You concluded that I've entered level 5 so quickly. Sector beast Betty guffawed cruelly. Luo Feng knew from Morosa that Betty was ruthless and had a heart of stone. I've indeed entered level 5, but you're here now. You're being suicidal. This space and time skill of yours can't compare with my sector light domain. This time. But sector beast Betty was suddenly stunned when a radiant pearl flew out of Luo Feng's palms, giving out golden light. The golden pearl flew above Luo Feng's head, and burning godly power kept being infused into it. The golden pearl transformed into vast and mighty golden waves. Hua, hua, hua. Golden waves suddenly showed up in the area where Luo Feng and Betty were. The golden waves and single-thought void space empowered one another, and the power surged. They immediately suppressed Betty's sector light domain, forcing it to back off. That golden pearl was called the Pearl of the Golden Ocean. It was a precious valuable brought by Luo Feng from the world of Jin, a machine-type domain valuable used by true gods of void space. It was only an ordinary treasure for true gods of void space, and mediocre true gods of void space were already able to use it. The limit of ordinary true gods was only at top-tier level 9. When Luo Feng was comprehending the evolution of chaos, he had largely exceeded that limit. He could totally rival ordinary true gods of void space. That was why he was able to trigger the Pearl of the Golden Ocean. In fact, when Luo Feng had been converting credits into valuables in World of Jin, he had been able to convert the valuables back into military credits as part of the same deal. He had obtained many valuables to see whether he was able to fully comprehend and use them. If he wasn't able to use them, he would return them. Like Wu Qi God, which was one of the best true god-level machine-type valuables and had 3 levels. The third level was so intricate that it was more difficult to employ than many machine-type valuables at the true god of void space level. The engravings in the third level of Shi Wu wings are relatively plain. Luo Feng sighed. I was able to utilize them when I was only a universe master, and even ordinary true gods are able to use them. Besides, my Shi Wu wings don't have an origin, so the move is indeed weaker than sector light domain. The more advanced a technique was, the more powerful it was. The simplified version of single-thought void space was far from Luo Feng's true power. Unfortunately, the 4th level of Shi Wu Wing, establish a universe with a single thought, was too intricate for Luo Feng to utilize. If he could fully comprehend it and perform its true power, he would exert much more power than at present. The Pearl of the Golden Ocean was much more complicated than single-thought void space, as it could only be triggered by true gods of void space, and it was the most advanced valuable that Luo Feng was able to use. It was also a machine-type valuable. Although it wasn't as delicate as his Shi Wu wings, it was still much more powerful than single-thought void space. The endless golden ocean and the single-thought void space both were putting pressure on the sector light domain. Sector beast Betty snorted. The sector light domain was now so small that it barely surrounded Betty's body like a thin membrane. Even so, that layer was very dense and was capable of defending Betty against every attack. Milky Way Horde leader Luo Feng. Sector Beast Betty snorted. All you have are valuables. You trapped Morosa in your star tower, and eventually, you enslaved it. Without your valuables, you wouldn't have been able to accomplish that. What Betty said was true. Luo Feng had used single-thought void space, the power of space of suppression, and the power of the origin of his miniature universe to completely confine Morosa so that it couldn't self-destruct. I heard that you have an endless ocean body, said Sector Beast Betty. Sector Beast Betty was exceptionally aloof. He was indeed full of confidence. Just as he spoke, endless black light shot out and surrounded Luo Feng in the distance. It was so fast that even Luo Feng wasn't able to dodge it. Endless black threads wound around and enveloped Luo Feng, trapping him in a cocoon. However, you're only a human, said Sector Beast Betty, and you've become a true god, which means you now only have a human body. You might have lost your endless ocean body. There's no need to fight you. All I need to do is to consume your godly power. Betty looked at the black mist cocoon in the distance and smirked. A sector beast at level 5 can exert totally different power than level 4 sector beasts even when performing the same move. Now, my power is purer and more forceful. The power of my sector is much stronger. Kai. Luo Feng didn't even try to get out. Instead, he began burning his godly power, shocking the black mist cocoon. Godly power and the power of the sector beasts were consuming each other. You want to compete with me in terms of godly power? Luo Feng said. He smirked. He could easily transform his godly power into the power of the sector beasts instead so that his enemy couldn't do that. However, he preferred to do what he was doing now. According to Morosa, the godly power of level 5 sector beasts can rival that of true gods 100 million kilometers tall, Luo Feng thought. However, it's still less than 1/1 trillionth of mine. Like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.